Have you ever had that fleeting thought? What if doing less could actually lead to a happier, healthier you as the years go by? It might seem counterintuitive, especially when our culture glorifies busyness and hustling from dawn till dusk. For much of our lives, we've been told that success lies in relentless effort, perfect homes, endless commitments, ticking off every task. But as we grow older, that drive, once helpful, can morph into a draining force that saps our energy, unsettles our peace of mind, and weakens our connections. Surprisingly, the most intelligent choice you might make for your emotional and physical well-being is to embrace a little laziness. Imagine the golden years as an invitation, not to slow down reluctantly, but to let go intentionally, to stop striving in areas that no longer serve you, and to free up your time, energy, and spirit for those that truly matter. Today, I'm inviting you to explore 7 surprising areas where a dose of laziness can lead to more peace, strength, and joy. And trust me, by the time you hear the 7th insight, you might just wonder how you ever overlooked such a small but powerful shift. First stop, overcommitting to social obligations. If you're someone who struggles to say no, you're far from alone. Many of us, especially in retirement, feel a quiet pressure to accept every invitation. Family gatherings, neighborhood lunches, church volunteering, a constant yes out of love, obligation, or habit. But imagine Mrs. Jenkins, a 72-year-old who cherished her loved ones and community, yet kept saying yes long after her energy faded. Babysitting requests, church duties, social lunches, yes after yes, left her emotionally frazzled. She wasn't burned out because she didn't care. She was burned out because she overextended. When she paused to ask herself, do I really want to do this? Does it add value? She discovered a simple but profound truth. She didn't need to be everywhere. She began saying no, gently, firmly, without guilt. The result? Richer moments with grandchildren, restful evenings, and a sense of control renewed. Saying no didn't isolate her. It preserved space for what truly nourished her heart. 2. Stop obsessing over a perfectly clean home. There's a comfort in sparkling spaces, of course, but upkeep, when done relentlessly, becomes a chore that eclipses the life lived within those walls. Consider Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, avid homemakers surface cleaning daily, feeling good about their routines, until fatigue and aches made it feel relentless. They reimagined their approach. Nightly 10-minute tidies and a weekly deeper clean sufficed. Messy corners didn't tarnish comfort. Instead, energy once spent scrubbing flowed into gardening, reading, and reconnecting. Their home remained inviting, lived in and free of frantic tidying. Their key lesson: a home is where life breathes, not where perfection resides. By letting go of obsessive cleaning, they reclaim time and well-being. 3rd, stop worrying about what others think. Perhaps one of the heaviest burdens we learn to carry is the voice of external judgment. As we age, self-consciousness often follows. Gray hair, lines, changing bodies. This was Mrs. Franklin's journey. She lived in photos she avoided, always hiding, convinced others noticed her flaws. Over time, she grew tired of constantly primping. Then, a nostalgic afternoon with an old photo album brought clarity. She'd spent decades fretting while others only cared about her laughter, her presence. She decided then to let go. She embraced her silver hair, wore what felt right, and stopped hiding from cameras. Freedom blossomed in her smile. And she realized the truth. As we grow older, other people's opinions matter less, and the people who truly love us care far more about our spirit than our appearance. 4th, stop trying to fix everyone's problems. Love often compels us to act, to rescue, to solve, to step in. But continually fixing troubles may rob others of growth, and you of serenity. Mr. Harris lived this paradox. Deeply concerned about his struggling adult son, he absorbed setbacks, paying rent, offering advice, postponing his own plans. Problems persisted, and he found himself exhausted. A candid conversation with his wife helped. Some lessons can only be learned the hard way. It wasn't about withdrawing care, but letting go of rescue. He shifted to emotional support only, listening, guiding when asked, trusting his son to learn. The change was revealing. Loss of control returned peace, and his son learned responsibility. In choosing to step back, he offered deeper love and renewed grace for both. Fifth, stop obsessing over the news. Staying informed is wise, but drenching ourselves in headlines can feed anxiety, especially for older adults. Mrs. Collins experienced this firsthand. Her daily coffee habit turned into hours glued to news channels and devices. Instead of awareness, she harvested worry and sleepless nights. She realized an easier path: 15 minutes of morning news only, from reliable, fact-based sources, and no late-night scrolling. The difference was immediate. Calm mornings, rested nights, and a mind free enough to focus on what's real and manageable, because there's a vital distinction between being informed and being consumed. Now, after understanding the immense significance of intention and presence, let's take a step deeper into the fabric of human experience, into the currents that move beneath the surface of our day-to-day lives. It's one thing to intellectually grasp concepts like presence, patience, or attention, but it's a completely different thing to embody them in the chaos of real life. This is where most people get lost, where the theoretical collapses under the weight of distraction, pressure, or emotional noise. You might read about mindfulness or awareness and think, yes, this makes sense, but then your phone buzzes, your to-do list expands, or an argument pulls you into reaction mode, and suddenly that clarity fades like a dream after waking. This dissonance between knowing and doing, between awareness and action, is where transformation either stalls or begins. One of the biggest illusions we buy into is that transformation will feel peaceful, that somehow the process of becoming who we're meant to be will be calm and linear. It's not. In fact, it's often loud, messy, and disorienting. And yet, this is precisely why it's so real. Think of fire. It's not quiet. It's not subtle. It consumes. It reshapes. It transforms. That's the nature of real inner change. It burns away the false self, the performative self, the part of you that learned to behave in order to be accepted or loved. And that burning, it hurts. It confuses. It makes you question everything. That's not a sign of failure. That's the price of waking up. When you're in the fire, it's easy to think you're doing something wrong, but more often than not, that fire is proof you're finally doing something right. You're finally in contact with a deeper truth that wants to emerge through you, not just be talked about. And this is where presence takes on a whole new meaning. Because presence isn't just about being still or focused. It's about being available to your life, all of it. The joy and the sorrow, the confusion and the clarity, the rise and the fall. Presence means saying yes to the full spectrum of what it means to be alive. It means not turning away when discomfort shows up. It means not numbing out when boredom creeps in. It means not defaulting to control when chaos enters. The most powerful version of you doesn't avoid pain. It moves through it. The most grounded version of you doesn't need everything to make sense in order to remain rooted. This is presence as resilience, not fragile peace, but deep, embodied availability to what is, not just what's easy. So let's bring this back to something real, something practical. When was the last time you allowed yourself to truly listen? Not just to a podcast or to someone else, but to yourself. Not to the voice of your ego or the inner critic, but to the quiet, patient wisdom beneath it. Most people live in a state of constant reaction, chasing the next thing, escaping the last mistake, numbing out in between, and they mistake motion for progress. But real listening, the kind that changes the way you see the world, requires stillness, and not just external stillness, but internal spaciousness, the ability to be with a moment without rushing to explain, to fix, to justify. This kind of listening isn't passive, it's active surrender. It's the art of becoming a witness to your own inner world without becoming a prisoner of it. You see, most of what we call growth is really a negotiation between who we've been and who we're becoming. It's not an instant leap. It's a series of subtle shifts, moments where we choose not to react the same way we always have, where we pause instead of project, where we breathe instead of blame. These moments don't feel like grand awakenings. They feel ordinary, unremarkable, and yet they're the very stitches that weave the fabric of a new life. So when you catch yourself in one of those moments, when you feel the tension rising, when the old pattern wants to take over, remember, this is the portal. This is where the alchemy happens, not when things are perfect, but when you meet the imperfection with presence instead of panic. And what about energy? Because everything we've talked about so far, attention, presence, transformation, it's all directly tied to how we manage and direct our energy. You've probably heard the saying, where your attention goes, energy flows. But let's take that further. Your life is where your energy goes. Your relationships, your health, your creativity, your emotional landscape. They are all shaped by how you invest your life force. And the truth is, most people are hemorrhaging energy daily without even realizing it, leaking energy through overthinking, people-pleasing, unresolved resentment, or obsessive control. Every moment you spend worrying about what you can't change or trying to fix someone else's perception of you, you are giving away power you could be using to build the life you actually want. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Your energy is your responsibility. No one else will protect it for you. No one else will reclaim it on your behalf. And this doesn't mean cutting everyone off or hiding in solitude. It means being honest about what drains you and what fuels you. It means having boundaries not out of fear, but out of clarity. It means asking yourself not just, is this good or bad, but does this expand me or shrink me? Does this open my heart or close it? Does this deepen my truth or distort it? These questions are a compass, not for avoiding difficulty, but for navigating it with integrity. Because the goal isn't to live an easy life. It's to live a true one. And yes, there will be times when clarity feels distant, when you feel stuck, lost, or heavy. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're in a necessary season. You see, not all progress looks like movement. Some growth happens underground, in the dark, in the silence. Some transformation isn't visible until much later, when something inside you clicks and you realize you've changed. Not because you forced it, but because you stayed. You stayed with the moment. You stayed with the discomfort. You stayed with your breath. You stayed with yourself. And in that staying, something sacred began to take root. Something no one can take from you because you earned it. Quietly, honestly, relentlessly. So now, having walked through the fire of awareness, having honored the pain and stayed present in the noise, we come to the final, most powerful piece of this journey: integration. Because all the insight in the world means nothing if it isn't lived. You can read every book, attend every retreat, speak all the language of healing and growth. But until it reaches your behavior, until it shapes how you move through the grocery store, how you speak to the people you love, how you respond to the inconvenient, the annoying, the uncertain, it's still just theory. Real wisdom lives in how you embody what you've remembered. Integration is where knowledge becomes character, where you don't just know you have worth, you act like it, where you don't just talk about presence, You bring it into every room, even the ones filled with tension or pain. And this isn't performative. It's not about being good. It's about being real. But here's the twist. Integration isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. You don't feel a drum roll every time you make a better choice. Often, it feels unremarkable. You might not even realize you've changed until you catch yourself reacting differently to a situation that used to break you. That's the moment. That's the proof. Not the performance. The pattern shift. The quiet evolution that happens inside your nervous system, inside your habits, inside your speech. When you stop fighting to be right and instead choose to be whole. When you walk away not out of anger but from peace. When you speak truth, not to hurt but to heal. These are the hidden milestones of a real transformation. Not dramatic declarations, but subtle reclamations of self. This is why trust is essential. Not just trust in outcomes, but trust in process. Trust in your capacity to learn, unlearn, and relearn without rushing. Trust that even when it seems like nothing is working, something deep is still unfolding. Because the mind craves certainty, but the soul craves depth. And those two rarely arrive together. Integration asks you to sit in that gap, to live in the mystery, to stop needing to know what's next and instead focus on being deeply honest about what's now. And when you can do that, when you stop outsourcing your power to the future, you begin to realize you are not waiting for clarity. You are becoming it, piece by piece, choice by choice, breath by breath. And from that place, that grounded, unshakable inner place, you become someone who doesn't just survive life, you shape it. You don't just cope, you create. You no longer ask, how do I fix this? You begin to ask, what's here for me to see? You stop battling your past and start building with it. You stop obsessing over being liked and begin aligning with being true. Because when you're no longer trying to impress or prove or perform, you become radically free. Free to rest. Free to rise, free to speak with integrity and to walk away with grace, free to be all of who you are, not the polished version, not the curated version, but the whole, messy, luminous truth. And this truth, your truth, it ripples. It doesn't just change you, it changes how others experience themselves around you. Because people don't learn presence from words. They learn it from you being present with them. They don't learn self-worth from advice. They feel it when you stop abandoning yourself in conversation. You become a mirror, not of perfection, but of possibility. And that's how the world shifts. One aligned human at a time. Not with slogans or strategies, but with presence, clarity, and courage lived out in the real world. This is the revolution. Not louder noise, but deeper presence. So what's the invitation now? It's simple, but not easy. Begin exactly where you are. No more waiting. No more pretending you need another sign. The moment is already here. Let the breath bring you back. Let the discomfort teach you. Let the silence fill you. Stop looking for the next thing and become the thing. Your life is not something happening to you. It is something being shaped by you. One pause, one yes, one number, one boundary, one truth at a time. Start with what's in front of you. Meet it with your whole self. Let that be enough, because it is. And so are you.